Hi, my name is Angelica Oyoki. I am a Mesa STEM counselor in our Mesa STEM Academic Success Center at Allen Hancock College. So thank you so much for joining on today to watch this workshop. I'm going to be talking about financial aid and STEM scholarship strategies today. And something to keep in mind, all of the material for this presentation will be available right underneath this workshop presentation link. So what I'm going to be covering today, I'm going to be talking about the types of financial aid that is available. We'll go over the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act, talk about types of scholarships, common scholarship requirements. I'll go over some scholarship tips, and I'll provide you with some scholarship resources. All right, so to get started, so type of aid that is available. So there is 3 different types of aid. One is through the FAFSA, which is a free application for federal student aid, and you are required to be a U.S. citizen to apply for the FAFSA. And via the FAFSA, the federal government determines if you are eligible for grants, loans, and work study, and I'll go into more detail in our next slide. There's also scholarship opportunities through your institution, like Hancock offers a scholarship, which I'll talk a little bit about later in this presentation. And there's also private opportunities, and this could be through your employer, through a nonprofit, and we'll talk a little bit more about this as well. And we have the California DREAM Act. So if you are not a US citizen and you're not able to apply for FAFSA, you may be able to apply for the California DREAM Act. So any students who are AB 540 or DACA may be eligible. And through the DREAM Act, the state determines if you're eligible for state funding. All right, so let's talk about the FAFSA. The FAFSA is a free application for federal student aid. And the FAFSA is, as mentioned in its name, is a free application. So rule of thumb, never pay money to apply for financial aid. Through the FAFSA, it is determined if you're eligible for grants, loans, and work study. And there's a few different types of grants. So there's state grants and federal grants. And some examples of these are the Pell Grant, which is a federal grant, Cal Grant, the California College Promise Grant, also known here at Hancock as a CCPG, and it was previously known as the BOG, and then the University Grant. So grants is funding that does not need to be repaid, okay? Free money to you if you are a student. Through the FAFSA, it is also determined if you're eligible for loans, and there is 2 different types of loans. There is subsidized and unsubsidized loans. And if you are going to be pulling out any loans, it's really important that you know the difference between these 2. Subsidized loans are loans that come from the federal government. They typically have lower interest rate than just your regular loan that you would pull from the bank. And subsidized loans, you are not paying any interest on them while you are a student. You actually don't have to pay interest on them until after you complete your schooling. Unsubsidized loans are also a loan that comes from the federal government. The interest rate is a lot lower than a typical loan that you would get from your bank or another financial institution. And unsubsidized loans, you are paying interest, and it's beginning to accumulate interest the moment that you take that funding out. So if you are considering pulling a loan, make sure that you are connecting with our financial aid office and being well informed. And then there's work study, and this is a federal program and federal student aid that is provided to students, and it provides part-time employment while you are enrolled in school to help pay for your educational expenses. In order to use your work study funding, you do have to seek out for a job. A lot of the time, students who receive work study, they're able to work on campus, and you get paid for your hours through the federal government. If you are eligible for work study, please connect with our financial aid office to get more information about accessing that funding, but you do have to go on and find employment. So what is the FAFSA process? So super important, mark your calendars right now. You wanna make sure that you're applying for FAFSA every year, okay? The application opens every October 1st, and the priority filing deadline is March 2nd every year, okay? The link to the FAFSA application is provided here. And like I mentioned, you'll have the material, so you'll be able to click on it to be able to open up the FAFSA application. Once you go on and complete your FAFSA application, you want to make sure that you're including the schools that you're going to be attending for that academic year. And when you include that on your application, FAFSA makes sure that your financial aid department at your campus receives your application. Once that application is received, our financial aid office will review the information that you provided, and they will come up with an award package for you. But prior to them providing you with the award package, you want to make sure that you're checking your Hancock portal regularly, because sometimes there might be necessary documents or forms that you need to provide to our financial aid office, and they are not able to complete your entire award package until they have all of this additional necessary information, okay? So once they have everything they need from you, then they go on and they complete an award package for you. And it's for that academic year. Once it's completed, you'll be able to view that award package from your portal. And on that award package, you will be able to see the grants that you're receiving, if you're eligible for any loans, if you're eligible for work study, you'll be able to see that all on your award package. All right, so moving on, we have the California Dream Act, and the process for the California Dream Act is very similar to the FAFSA process. Is just a different application that you would submit. So if you're not a US citizen and you're eligible for California Dream Act, then you would apply for California Dream Act, and through the California Dream Act, you are eligible for grants, and it's all state grants. So the Cal Grant, the California College Promise Grant, also known as the BOG, and university grants. And the process is exactly the same as the FAFSA. Okay, so I'm just going to skip over this process. Again, just keep in mind, you want to make sure that you get either your FAFSA application submitted or your California Dream Act application submitted by the March 2nd priority filing deadline. All right, so moving into scholarships. So scholarships are free money that is provided to students. Again, scholarships is funding that you do not have to pay back. So there's different types of scholarships. So there's institutional scholarships, and institutional scholarships are scholarships that come from your college or university. So at Hancock, we have the Allen Hancock College Foundation, and that's a yearly scholarship application that's available for our students to apply to. So I highly encourage you to make a note of this. And I'll come back and talk a little bit more about their dates and deadlines in a future slide. But keep in mind that we do have a scholarship through the Hancock Foundation for our students. If you're going to be transferring to the university, there is also scholarships available at your university. In fact, the UC provides a part of their application where you're able to provide them with more information about your background, and they match you with scholarship based on the information that you provide on your UC admissions application when you apply to the UCs. The CSU also has scholarships available, but they go through an independent process. So if you're going to be starting at a CSU soon, once you get there, and once you know where you're going, get onto that college's, the university's financial aid page, and they'll most likely have information for you about scholarships that you can apply to. And then there's also private scholarships, and this can look like, foundation, a business, organizations, nonprofits. Sometimes your employer might provide scholarships for their employees. Sometimes if your parent is working for a certain employer, since you're a dependent of them, they might also be able to provide you with a scholarship. So definitely check with your employer if you have a job, and with your parents' employment to see if they have any scholarships available for students. And I would encourage you to begin to research private aid sources early on. Whenever you're watching this webinar, once you're done watching this, I would encourage you to jump onto Google and begin to look for different type of private scholarships that may be available. And like I mentioned, I will also be providing you with a few resources to help you with your search. So why apply for scholarships? So the number one thing to always keep in mind, scholarships are free money for students. You do not have to pay that back, okay? So if you're bringing money in, you're alleviating some stress on yourself because you have this additional funding to help pay for your academic and living expenses. It might allow you to work less hours at work, or to not even have to have a part-time job at all, right? If you're bringing in scholarship money and it's enough to pay for your living expenses, pay for your needs, you might be able to fully focus on school and not have to, have a part-time job on the side. And this would be ideal, especially for you as a STEM student. You know that your classes are demanding. You are in class for long periods of time, especially if you're taking labs. Out of class, you're required to dedicate time to attending tutoring, joining study groups, doing some individual studying. So, the less time you have to spend working to bring in income, the better, right? So if having scholarships, bringing in that additional aid will allow you more time to focus on your academics. It also allows you to be more selective with how you spend your time. So, if you have funding coming in, you're able to work less. You might be able to get more involved, take on an internship, work on projects, do some job shadowing, and do things that are going to benefit you and your long-term goals. So definitely only positive things can come from applying and earning scholarships. So how to prepare for applying to different scholarships. I'm going to go over some of the common scholarship requirements and the things that you will want to make sure that you have gathered. So all scholarships will have an application. So you'll have to provide them with some personal information, the basics, your name, your address, email, phone number, where you're a student at. So there'll be an application. Most of the time, scholarships will require that you have a FAFSA application on file or a California DREAM Act application. So I encourage all of you to always submit a FAFSA or a California DREAM Act, even if you're not eligible for aid because of your EFC is too high or you don't have the need, still apply, still have that FAFSA application on file, the California DREAM Act on file, because sometimes you might run into a scholarship where they do require that you have these applications on file. Personal statements are most often than not required. Keep in mind, the donors want to know who they are providing a scholarship to, right? So they want to know a little bit more about yourself. So a lot of the time students, they see, write a personal statement, they'll kind of shy away. Don't shy away. Once you write your first personal statement, you'll be able to use that and tweak it and use it over and over. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in a couple more slides. You'll need letters of recommendation. So, as you're going through your academic experience here at Hancock, make sure that you're maintaining and developing rapport with your instructors, with the staff here, with your counselors. That way, if you ever need a letter of recommendation from somebody here, we're able to provide something for you. We want to make sure that we're providing something good for you. So begin to develop that rapport and those relationships here on campus. You will need a transcript usually from any college or university that you have attended. And sometimes you will need to attend an interview and meet with the donors to go through the interview process. It helps them, get to know their applicants and select, who they want to provide a scholarship to. All right, so some scholarship tips. Explore all your options, okay? Through Mesa STEM, we are often sending out scholarship information. You're getting emails from Doreen. You might be getting emails from your instructors. look at those emails, don't ignore them. If we're sending you emails, there's important and good information on there. So explore your options. Make sure that you're never paying money for a scholarship or to apply for a scholarship or just to get scholarship information. Do not pay any money. That almost defeats the purpose, right? So you want to be mindful of what you're coming across if you're doing online searches, that the things that you're coming across are legit. Okay, so nobody should ever be charging you any money to get information about a scholarship. Always consider local opportunities. Okay, so like I mentioned, we have the Hancock Foundation, we have the Santa Barbara Foundation, and there's various other nonprofit organizations here locally and companies that provide scholarships to students. So keep those opportunities in mind. Don't waste time on scholarships that you are clearly not eligible for. Okay, so make sure that you're spending your time on scholarships that you meet the requirements for. You're investing a lot of time and energy, so you want to make sure that those scholarships that you're applying for, that you actually do meet requirements. And be prepared to devote time to your search and applying. It is a time-consuming process, but also keep in mind, you're dedicating time. You want to make sure that you're providing good material to your scholarship application. And, the goal is for you to get funding back from it, right? So you might spend 2 hours applying for a scholarship. And if you get that award, it might be $1,000, $2,000, right? The reward, usually it's pretty high. So you want to make sure that you are dedicating the sufficient amount of time to provide something good in your application, okay? Pay close attention to detail, especially when applying to more than one scholarship at a time. You want to make sure that you don't provide the correct information and that you're providing the correct material on each application that you're submitting. And keep in mind, you're not alone through this process. Your MESA STEM team is here to help. So whenever you need help, make sure that you're seeking out help and allowing enough time to develop, strong personal statements. We have the Writing Center here on campus if you ever need support with writing personal statements and getting feedback. Think positively about yourself throughout the process. You're a student, you're worthy, you deserve this. So make sure that you just have a positive outlook when you're going through this whole process. Select the proper people to write letters of recommendations for you and give them enough time to complete this task. Follow up and send thank you letters, and be persistent and consistent. Don't ever quit. I encourage you to apply to 1 or 2 scholarships every month. Work through these applications on a regular basis, right? If you're applying to scholarships and for whatever reason you're not being awarded, don't give up, continue to apply. Maximizing your chances of winning scholarships. Apply to various scholarships every year. Like I mentioned, I would encourage you to identify 1 or 2 that you're applying to every month. Review and understand the scholarship requirements. So each scholarship application or page will have information about what they're looking for, their expectations, what they require. So make sure that you're reviewing that all in its entirety so that you're not missing any important requirements. Invest plenty of time in completing your application and collecting all of the required documents. So make sure that you're reviewing those applications and that you know exactly what's required of you and that you're gathering everything that you need, okay? Don't wait till last minute because you don't want to be scrambling getting the material that you need. And then of course, super big, do not miss application deadlines. Take the application process seriously. So if you're going to start working on a scholarship application, make sure that you calendar in when it's due, because you don't want to spend time and energy working on personal statements, getting letters of recommendation, fine-tuning that application, and then, find out you missed the deadline, okay? Make sure that you're plugging everything into your calendar, your phone, so that you're staying on track of everything. So scholarship specific to STEM. So as a STEM major, there is so much scholarship opportunities available out there. And generally they have a smaller application pool, right? These scholarships are not open to all students. They're open just to STEM students. So you're typically more likely to win a scholarship that is closely related to your interests, majors, and qualifications. So with that being said, we have worked on a STEM scholarship toolkit to help facilitate this scholarship research process for you. So if you click on this link, and again, like I mentioned, you will have these links available to you on our page. This link will take you to our MESA STEM Scholarship Toolkit, and it'll provide you with some of the information that I just provided to you in the previous slide. So types of financial aid available, how to prepare, tips, scholarship essay do's and don'ts, requesting letters of recommendation, STEP scholarship opportunities, and then scholarships that don't require proof of US citizenship. So if you click here on the STEM scholarship opportunities, you will see a list of various different scholarships that either our students have applied for, previous students have been awarded these scholarships, or we have received communication from these organizations about these scholarships being available. So we have quite a list available for you, and these are all legit scholarships. So I encourage you to go through and check out what's offered on this list, and make a list for yourself of scholarships that are listed here that you're eligible for, that you're interested in. And sometimes, depending on when you're viewing this, you might notice, oh wait, these deadlines already passed. So keep in mind that most scholarships are available on a yearly basis. So if you click on one and you notice, hey, the deadline already passed, and you're interested in it, make a note of it and come back to it maybe a couple months later, because usually these are open every year. Okay, so usually scholarships begin to open up in October and they're closing January, February. So utilize your fall semester and even the summer to begin to put together your materials, begin to identify what scholarships you're going to be applying for, and then completing all of the requirements and getting them submitted by the deadline. And then we also have scholarships that don't require proof of US citizenship. And here is the list. It's a PDF file. Again, similar, some of the deadlines you will notice they have passed. This is provided to you by Immigrants Rising. And they provided a list of various different scholarships, and these scholarships do not require, that you provide proof of US citizenship. So even if you are a US citizen, you can apply for these. But if you're not, this is a great tool to use to have a list of different scholarships that you will be eligible for regardless of your documentation status. So utilize this as a resource, and keep in mind that our toolkit isn't the only place where you can find scholarships, but it's a really great place to start. And also check your email regularly. If you're getting emails from Doreen with scholarship information, read them, look into them. If you're eligible for, make sure that you're taking the time to apply for them. And again, the scholarship toolkit is available through our MESA STEM Academic Success Center website, and you can find it on the left-hand side under scholarship toolkit. Okay, so I'm going to jump back onto the presentation. Okay, here we go. All right, so personal statements, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes students will shy away from scholarships that require personal statements. Don't do it. If there's a personal statement requirement, get on it, start the process right away. Don't wait till last minute, just get writing. You're going to find most often than not, scholarships will require a personal statement. This is one way for them to get to know you. If the scholarship committee is not requiring an interview, the only way they get to know a little bit more about you is through your personal statement. So this is really your introduction to the donor and letting them know who you are, what you're about, what your background is, what your goals are. This is your opportunity to let them know, like, hey, I am the right person for this scholarship. Pick me. Okay. And also, once you write one personal statement, you can use that, tweak it, change it, make it fit for every single scholarship that you're going to be applying to, right? You don't have to start over every time. Once you have a good, solid statement going, you'll be able to use that over and over. But do start early, right? Allow enough time for you to develop a draft, for you to process what you want to write, for you to process a prompt. Sometimes they might give you a prompt and they're saying like, hey, please respond to this question, right? So you want to make sure that you have enough time to gather your thoughts and really put together a good personal statement. So, you do want to develop a draft. You want to get it reviewed. You want to get some feedbacks. You want to make those corrections, get more feedback. You might need some help with grammar. You might be using our writing center to get this additional help. So definitely provide yourself enough time so you can go through this entire process to produce a really well-written personal statement. And be your own best fan. This is the time where you're able to brag about yourself, tell your reader about your accomplishments, tell them about your skills, your strengths, let them know what you're good at, let them know what you're passionate about, provide them with information about your background, your goals, where you're headed, where you see yourself in the future. Give them a little bit more of who you are, because that will help you stand out. You want to make sure that, they read that personal statement and they say, yes, this is the person we want to give this funding to. So this is your time to shine and make yourself stand out. Get creative and present yourself in a positive light. Be precise and do not ramble. A lot of the times you might have a word limit, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting straight to the point and providing them with what they're asking for, or providing them with those highlights, the things that you want to bring up about yourself. Start with something that will grab your reader's attention, but also don't exaggerate. And be nice to your reader. Make sure that you're using a sensible format. Make sure that your font and your spacing, you're using that 12-point font, the Times New Roman. Yeah, you want to provide them with a document that's easy to read, that flows well, and that's presented well, that has little or no errors, right? Want to avoid those typos so that your reader is just able to read through and have a pleasant time reading your personal statement. And if you're intimidated by writing that personal statement, if you need extra help, let us know. Reach out to me, reach out to Christine, reach out to the writing center, your English instructor. We are here to support you, and we want to make sure that you're producing a good personal statement so that you do get these scholarships that you're applying to. Okay, and then letters of recommendation. So very often you are going to be required to provide a letter of recommendation. So it's important that you begin to, get connected with everyone here at Hancock, your instructors, the staff, administrators, your counselors. You want to pick your people wisely. You want to make sure that whoever is providing a letter of recommendation on your behalf is able to provide a good and strong letter for you, okay? So when you do, identify who you want to have write your letter of recommendation, make sure that you're letting them know ahead of time. Give them, as a rule of thumb, 2 weeks minimum. But sometimes they might need longer. So, the sooner that you let somebody know, hey, I'm working on this scholarship application, I need a letter of recommendation, would you be willing to provide it for me? Okay. A lot of the times it's helpful if you can provide your recommender with like a brag sheet of yourself, some things that you want to highlight about yourself, a little bit of information about your background. That way they can provide you a really good letter and, include some of these things about yourself. Provide your recommender with ample direction, let them know how they're providing this letter of recommendation. Are they mailing it in? Are they giving it to you? Are they emailing it in? Make sure that they have all these details. And then whenever appropriate, have the letter addressed specifically to the organization or person administering the scholarship. I try to avoid general letters. So if you're going to be asking for a letter of recommendation and you know that you're applying to the Allen Hancock Foundation, let your recommender know this is who the letter is for. That way they can address it directly to them. And then ask graciously and be thankful. Keep in mind that your recommender is taking time out of their busy schedules, out of their busy day to provide a letter of recommendation for you. So always make sure to, say thank you, write them a thank you note, write them a thank you email, show them that you do appreciate it. All right, so keep track of your scholarship opportunities. Try to maintain like a personal scholarship file, a binder, even like on your email where you're compiling all of the scholarship opportunities that you're coming across that you want to apply to. And an Excel sheet is a great way to keep yourself organized. Start an Excel sheet, make a list of everything that you're applying to, organize it by due dates, by requirements. Uh, you want to make sure that you're tracking your scholarships that you're eligible for. Even if you're not eligible for them now, maybe there's scholarships that you're going to be applying to in the future. You want to make sure that you're keeping yourself organized and keeping track of everything that you want to apply for. Design a tracking sheet. So Excel is a great way to do that, and keep a log of what you've applied to and what you're planning to apply for. Keep record of anything that you have already completed. So if you've submitted an entire application, make sure that you're keeping an electronic record of that. You can set up a folder on your computer, you can save everything on an email, but make sure that you're keeping record that things were submitted. If you are submitting application material via mail, like snail mail, you try to get tracking information so that you have proof that you sent it. But usually you're going to be submitting scholarship material and information via email or through the scholarship site. Okay. It's always good to follow up with scholarships that you have applied to and find out what's your status, when should you hear back. You want to make sure that you have this information and log your outcomes. And like I mentioned, get proof of mailing if you're doing a snail mail. All right, so here's a few links of different places where you can find scholarships. So student service centers here on campus, our financial aid department, they have a list of scholarships via their website. The Mace Systems Academic Success Center, we're sending you emails, and we have the scholarship toolkit. Check in with your counselors or instructors. A lot of the times they also know about scholarship opportunities. Check bulletin boards at the library. Online, there's tons of information, social media, the Mace System Scholarship Toolkit. Here's the link again. And here is a scholarship list for women in STEM. This is available through our E5 page on Mace System site. So you can also click on here as well. And here's a few more scholarship websites. These are not STEM specific. These are other websites that you can utilize to search for scholarships. And here's a little information about the Allen Hancock College Foundation Scholarship Program. So this is a yearly scholarship that's available through our foundation office. So most scholarships require that students enroll in and complete the fall and the spring semesters with at least 6 units each semester and maintain a 3.0 GPA or higher. If you are going to be transferring and the scholarship for the Hancock Foundation is available, still apply, because if you get awarded, you will be able to take that funding with you once you transfer to the university. So this is for students, maybe you're watching this and it's the fall semester, you're applying for transfer, this is your last year, still apply for the Hancock Foundation because these awards get awarded in the spring, so you'll be able to take your award with you to the university in the fall, okay? If you're going to be a continuing student next year, absolutely apply. And then to apply, use your Hancock username and password. The application is available every year. Usually it opens up in October and it's due in February, okay? And here's the link to the scholarship page for the Hancock Foundation. And then another very common scholarship that you should be applying to every year if you graduated from a high school in Santa Barbara County is the Scholarship Foundation of Santa Barbara. Here's some information about the general scholarship eligibility requirements. You have to have attended a school in Santa Barbara County for at least 4 of the 6 years between grade 7 to 12. You have to have graduated or received a GED from a Santa Barbara County high school by June of the current academic year. You have to be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or AB 540 eligible. You have to have current or previous wards of the Santa Barbara County Court Youth Foster Care after the age of 13 residing outside of the county that you are eligible to apply for our general scholarship. And then keep in mind that these are general requirements. You don't have to hit each of the requirements. So I would encourage you to look at the Scholarship Foundation website just to view their all of their information there as well. Usually Mesa STEM will have the Scholarship Foundation provide a workshop for our students sometime in the fall. So be on the lookout for that, just depending on when you're watching this. And then the application deadline is typically January 15th every year. So make sure that you're marking your calendars. And if you are a recipient of this scholarship, I believe you have to apply to renew it every year. So just make sure that you're aware of those requirements. All right, so if you have any questions, please feel free to come into Mesa STEM to see either me or Christine. Like I mentioned, all of the links that were provided on this presentation will also be available, hopefully right beneath the link to this, to view this, okay? And like I mentioned, any questions, make sure that you're coming in to see us. Bye-bye.